Good afternoon. This is Media Center, Ukraine, Odessa. We continue for today. Our current briefing is dedicated to the current situation on the labor market in Odessa region. Our speakers are Arkadiy Mkrtichyan, Deputy Head of Odessa District Military Administration, and Svitlana Pomukchinska, official of Odessa Regional Employment Center. So please, the floor is yours. Good afternoon. The situation is the following. Around 24,000 of citizens have used the services of our service. 6,200 citizens have found employment for 6 months of the current year, 2023. The employment status have 4,500 citizens, and there are 3 persons for 1 vacancy. Before the pandemic, we had the same level. During the quarantine shutdown, we had 12 persons for 1 job position. There are more than 1,300 vacancies and 50% for Odesa Rayon. What do you mean by the amount of people for 1 job? So this means that there are 3 persons, the competition. There are 3 persons for 1 position, 1 vacancy. The employment center provides services to both the employed and unemployed people, and also the services for the worker, for employers. So we have organized the recruitment, training, and also supports the initiative of our businesses. So we can help with the finding jobs, and also to ensure balance at the labor market. We organize professional or vocational training, and we also issue vouchers for training. As for vocational training, it is provided in the Odessa Center of the Odessa Vocational Center that provides training for 33 professions, and also under the umbrella of this center, we have organized a qualification center where during 3 days people can confirm their qualification. For example, I have the knowledge of a chef, and I need to get a certificate. I just need to address the vocational center, pass exams there to get the certificate, and I can use this certificate to find job. There are around 10 jobs, different jobs, including cook and also other professions which are popular today. And we even receive people from other regions, for example, to prove their qualifications as welders. As for supporting entrepreneurship, we provide awareness raising campaign, as well as different training sessions and webinars. We also have the courses of training, how to get loans for businesses and how to organize your business in general. The main support is in the form of micro grants amounting to 150,000 hryvnias, subject to creating 1 job and the increased amounts for 2 jobs. And also, when it comes to self-employment, and this is the form of entrepreneurship activity, and if the people want to get grants, they also need to establish 1 or 2 jobs additionally. they have been amended to the order or regulation 738 for microgrants for our veterans or their families. And the amount is there up to 1 million, but following the co-funding conditions at their own funds or using funds of partners or funds of self-government bodies. As for employers, I'd like to say that especially when it comes to the period of the full-scale invasion, the state supports additionally employers. We understand that these customers are very important and they serve as a catalyst for the economic development. For employers, of course, we support them with the training, professionals, and also job training. If they have needs, we can train people especially for them, teaching them modern skills. There are different types of compensation for employees, for example, for salary, for employing IDPs, and also for supporting socially unprotected strata population and other types of compensation. Mainly, it covers salary, but, for example, when it comes to employment of IDPs, following the request of the employment center, the employment service every second month compensates the salary for such people. The compensation for employment for IDPs without request from employment center, the employment service compensates the minimum salary during first 2 months. And there are other types of compensation for employments. This is the single social contribution. It could be at 50% or at 100%. Moreover, we organize the job fairs for employers, which are very popular today, especially during the full-scale invasion, when it is difficult to find highly paid jobs. Moreover, we also ensure professional or vocational selection for employers. This is kind of a mini job fair. When there are 5 to 10 unemployed persons, we test them, we assess their knowledge and skills, and we can offer several candidates to employers for them to select best from the best. We also continue reimbursement for employers when it comes to the support for temporary unemployment. So we can compensate up to 50% of the minimum salary when there is the shortened working hours. Now I would like to give floor to Arkadiy Mkrtichyan. Good afternoon. Our state is now in a difficult condition because of the war, and the enemy doesn't want to leave us alone. But our main task is to continue our work. We do a lot for IDPs. And so this is my area of responsibilities in the first day of the full-scale invasion. And our main objective now is to employ as many IDPs as possible. At the moment, in Odesa rayon, more than 112,000 IDPs have been registered in Odesa rayon. This is a big number, but if we exclude children of different ages, elderly people, and people with disabilities from this amount, we will get around 30,000 of people. Unfortunately, most of them don't want to work because of a range of factors, and I believe that the main factor is that people are afraid to leave their homes because of their difficult mental state. We cooperate with the regional employment center. We organize job fairs. We organize different types of marathons for practices. And our last event we organized with the Odesa Odesa Rayon Administration and the Regional Employment Center. We invited more than 3,500 people from the region, not only IDPs, but also Odessa residents who are unemployed at the moment. There were also graduates from school, from higher educational institutions, and our main objective is to employ as many people as possible, because any employed person pays taxes to the budget, which is additional ammunition, additional weapon. And we need to do everything possible for our economy to work to support our military on the front. Because the war is not only there on the front line, but it is also here. Everyone should continue working. Thank you. I have a question to you. Why you say that they don't want to work? What do you mean by this? And how many of the IDPs are officially employed on the territory of Odesa Rayon? So we do not have a precise number. We can speak only about official employment. This is not more than 1,000 people, if I'm not mistaken, out of 112,000. No, 112,000 is the general number of IDPs, including preschool, school children, people with disabilities, and pensioners. And we need to understand that there is a great number of pensioners who live there. According to my calculations, there are around 25,000-30,000 of people capable of work. We are trying now to identify precise numbers, but we face different challenges every day. We are going to have the inventory of the people, registered people, who are still in our rayon. There is now the regulation about the compensation for accommodation, but there are different criteria now. A person who stays outside of Ukraine for more than 30 days excluded from the list for further payment. A person who now has 100,000 hryvnias and more will also be excluded from the list. People with houses more than 13.6 square meter in the occupied territories, persons who buy foreign exchange to the amount of more than 100,000 hryvnias. These people will be excluded from the list of those who can receive payments from the states. So why they don't want to work? They can get support if they stayed in the compact centers. They can get humanitarian aid from the state. So they have almost everything, and they believe that just in the nearest future the war will be over and they will become back to their homes. Some factories are in a standby mode, for example, in Zaporizhzhia Oblast. And in our rayon, we have a family that doesn't want to lose their jobs there in those factories which do not work now. People are afraid to leave their jobs. So these are the challenges we are facing, but we are trying to cope with them. We have a lot of such issues. What about contact centers? There are not so many of them in Odesa Rayon, because if we have 112,000 IDPs, how many compact centers do we need for them? We have a lot of different programs in cooperation with the regional and military administration. For example, the shelter program, person can apply through the platform and for example, I have like a 3-bedroom apartment and I live together with my wife, and I can just say that I can accommodate just a family of 3, and the state will compensate utility services for people who are ready to provide accommodation. And some other people, they also just give their homes. And don't forget that 200,000 of people have left Odesa rayon, and their houses, their homes are free, and they provide them for free to IDPs. I know a person who owns 20 such flats, apartments, and they provide them free of charge to IDPs. We have allowed more than 1,300 free places in the compact centers, compact accommodation centers. So if there is a need, we can provide them to people. They can get everything possible there. Thank you. I have a question to you. The numbers that you've provided today, and you've been dealing with this problem for quite a long time. Do these numbers reflect the real situation? We know that a great number of people, especially in Odesa region, are unofficially employed, so they are not covered by your statistics or state programs. And how many people do we have? How do you think? And what is the percentage of people who are officially unemployed are really unemployed? I can say that those unemployed which are registered by our service doesn't have the possibility to be registered with our service and to be employed. Why is it so? There are some exclusions from this, and I can explain why is it so. We work actively with people looking for employment. We use different means to legalize employment. We systematically offer jobs to people, and we can offer 3 vacancies, and there is a deadline for people to work with these vacancies. For example, if I'm legally employed, I have to work with 3 vacancies and to provide answer to a professional. If people fail to do this, and there are no sanctions during the full-scale invasion. But if the people does not come, we can call them to the employment, asking if our candidates come to them. Since 2022, since 29th October, there is no limitation in the amounts paid to unemployed people. But before that, it was kind of a whip for people because they knew that there could be some limitations. But we just try to encourage people to communicate with their employment to be officially employed. And I have several examples. When a person says that they cannot come at noon because they train with their employment, and they say that they can come, for example, on Saturday. But here we understand that this can be a sign of unofficial employment. Then we contact people saying that they belong to the category of socially vulnerable people, offering for their employer to employ them officially, and we compensate the social contribution. And what is the percentage of the people? I understand that you want to persuade employers to employ people officially, but it could not work in all cases. That's why it is interesting for me how many unofficially employed people. We don't have such statistics in our employment service. I do understand, but perhaps you have some personal experience, your knowledge. I cannot just calculate the percentage of unofficial employment because I don't have this information. And that's why I think that some other services should have this data. Fortunately, no one has this information, but there can be some expert calculations. The next question. From time to time, on some websites, I can see vacancies from different military commissariats or military units. And because people can sign contracts with these entities, are they on the list of the vacancies that you offer to people? And the next question, when it comes to official employment, is the military ticket should be provided? I can provide two numbers. In Odesa region, there are 75% of women, 22% of men, and we understand the reason of this, because men should provide a military ID to the employment center. Apart for passport and some other information, the military ID proving that people are have been recorded with the military commissariats. This is the first questions. As for the second questions, we work with the military recruitment centers, with the military commissariats. And for military units and for such like brigades, Sturm, Yud, Lutz, we organize trainings, webinars, and different types of job fairs. We also inform women that if they have friends or relatives age 25, 45, they can participate in the military vacancies, in the job fairs, and it is not obligatory for them to have military IDs for such fairs. So we just help to recruit these assault brigades. We also have requests from the state emergency services for different jobs, and they often provide some favorable conditions, but they need only men there who are ready to train, who are ready to travel. Thank you very much. That was the briefing of the representatives of the Odesa District Military Administration and Odesa Regional Employment Centers. Our next briefing will be at 3:15. We will have a guest from Bulgaria who will speak about the results of visit of Volodymyr Zelensky to Bulgaria, and also about the support Bulgaria can provide to Ukraine, both in the military and political domain.